Welcome back. You have tuned in to One on One. And as though it might be a little hard to believe, it's springtime. Some of these days it's a little cool, but there's one thing you'll notice to prove that it's springtime: flowers. And speaking of flowers, do we have guests for you today? My name is Vin Dacquino. Our guests today are from the Lake Mahopac Garden Club. I would like you to welcome Donna Riley and Laura Stanley.
Thank you.
Well, welcome, ladies. You have a lot to tell us. When we drive down Route 6 through Mahopac, we see beautiful little flower gardens. You two and your club are responsible for that. Tell me a little bit about this thing called the Lake Mahopac Garden Club.
Well, Lake Mahopac Garden Club was actually founded in 1933.
Whoa!
And we are a part of the Federated Garden Club of America. We're part of the state, and we're also part of a district. Our district goes from Yonkers Garden Club to Peekskill Garden Club, Brewster Garden Club. We're all affiliated together.
And do you ever get to meet each other?
We do.
Oh,
We do.
that's wonderful.
We have, in fact, we have a great meeting in November that usually has a special designer, and it's at Lake Mahopac Library. So the club was started by some garden hobbyists in 1933, and it was a little bit of a social club, ladies' luncheons and
Makes
and
sense.
finery and who had the nicest roses and things.
So it was a hoity-toity club.
Oh, maybe a little bit. It was
tiny bit.
It was
It's
a bit
evolved.
The socialites. Okay.
And I think that's the most important thing that Laura and I wanted to say today is that it really has evolved. The workforce, women have gone back into the workforce. We have demands on our time, and maybe ladies' luncheons and roses are not in your purview, but the Lake Mahopac Garden Club is so much more. It really is. We are a community of members who do a lot of different things.
Very diverse community with common goals and interests.
Okay.
We, as you mentioned, the town gardens, we take care of those.
Yeah.
And which is sometimes rough because they are in a very, they're right along the side of the road. One of them is the Town Triangle Garden.
Now, are these gardens labeled? Do we know which ones you maintain
Yes.
for most part?
The one in the Town Triangle has a sign that says "Welcome to Lake Mahopac," and it does say the Garden Club. The other one is the Blue Star Memorial. I think we have a picture of that.
The Blue Star Memorial. Yeah.
That's across the street from Lake Mahopac Library, and it's at the foot of
there
Mount
we
Hope
are.
Road, right?
No.
And
So this is, now where exactly is this Blue Star Memorial?
it's at the foot of Mount Hope Road and on Route 6,
Oh, right on Route 6.
right where that stoplight is.
Oh, okay.
That one actually we're redoing this summer. The town has agreed to help us. We're going to be replacing the pots, and we're going to
Oh,
be
wow.
replacing the benches and the seating.
It's
very
also
nice.
a bus stop.
It is a bus stop.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's a
It's a well-used
you can
garden.
actually sit down and enjoy the flowers.
Yeah, there's a shade tree there.
Very nice.
Um,
Okay.
the other gardens we do at the welcome signs. There's one on Croton Falls. It says "Welcome to the Lake Mahopac," and we take care of weeding that and planting that. I think our best gardens are at the library.
Oh, yes.
We have the children's library was planted last summer, and it's fanciful. It's got a dragon made out of tires. I think we have a picture of that too.
Wow.
It's
And that's right at the library.
Yes.
Now, is
Yeah,
that
you-
the little garden? Oh, nice.
You have to
Where
seek it out.
You go in the library and through the door?
Yeah, you have to seek it out.
Look at that.
It's a nice little private garden.
I'm at that library every week. And you know what? I've never taken a peek at that library.
Yeah, you should bring your grandkids
Yes,
over
you're
there.
absolutely right.
There's also the
Place, I
adult
should bring my
garden.
writers in there too.
The adult garden is for your writers.
Now, the adult garden is the one that's off of the little cafe?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah, that's another beautiful spot. You know, there's people who don't even know that those garden spots exist. Now, what is this one here?
That's the adult garden at the library.
Oh, that's at the library as well? Oh, my goodness. How many gardens are at the library?
2.
2. Wow. So now this is part of the adult library?
It is.
Wow. Boy. Man.
So we have some people who are do landscape design, and so they had a lot to do with planning the garden out and
there's
planting
little
it.
benches in there if they want to go in and sit. And Now, who decides what flowers go where? I mean, is that something that...
Well, different members have different interests.
Of course,
And that's what
of course.
makes our club so exciting, really. There's something for everyone to do. So people who like to design gardens and do container gardening and select plants and landscape gardening and like to get down and dirty, so
Yeah.
to speak. I think we all kind of like to get our hands in the
Yeah,
dirt.
of course.
But,
That's, wouldn't be gardening without
yeah,
that.
right. So those ladies would volunteer to do the gardens.
Now-
And their joy would be selecting the plants. And they're free to, they don't have to okay it with everyone in the club or anything. Everyone has their own projects that they like to do.
Now,
And-
do you have like experts, that this one's good at this and that one's good at that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
There's lots of sponsored workshops, so you
Oh.
can get a certificate in landscape design. You can get a certificate
Really?
in horticulture.
So they offer like classes? Oh, that's great. I wouldn't mind doing that myself. Are there men in your garden club?
Right now, we don't have any men.
Oh man, I'll be the only
But
man.
We have.
But we have had men in the past, and we're always, we
Yeah,
need
why not?
everybody.
I have a son who every Father's Day plants a garden for me
Oh, that's
in the
so
yard,
lovely.
and he plants, of course. I do love flowers, but he plants the zucchini and he plants the peppers. I live on his peppers all summer, and men need to get their hands dirty in the garden. When I'm out there taking care of the garden he planted, it's therapy.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely,
I absolutely feel so good to be able to go out and get my basil and go upstairs and throw it in whatever I'm cooking and know that that came out of my garden.
Absolutely.
So there's a certain pride in doing gardening.
And I think with our members, it's each one teach one.
Yeah.
So if my thing is about native plants, I share my knowledge with the other members, and if you're great at growing zucchini or herbs, we've had herb luncheons where people
I do that,
who love to cook with herbs. So
I have my Italian parsley in my garden, and I literally use my garden to season my cooking.
Absolutely.
Because that's another thing I like doing is cooking.
You should come to some of our programs.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
We have a program at almost every meeting, and our programs involve, as I said, herbs and planting with seeds, planting deck pots.
Right.
Now, where and when are
native
these
plants.
meetings?
Our meetings are at Sycamore Park.
Oh, Sycamore
It's-
Park. I live almost walking. I do live walking distance from it. So they're there.
First
and
Tuesday of every month.
First Tuesday of every month at what time?
12 o'clock.
Oh, right at noon. Interesting.
Yeah, we have a coffee and, drop in for
Oh, man.
coffee.
You have refreshments?
We
Oh,
have a-
forget it. I'm
Bring a
coming.
sandwich.
And we have a speaker at every meeting.
Wonderful.
Speaking on
Oh,
something.
so isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So you have like people who do. Now, are some of the speakers your own members?
Some of them are our own,
Yeah,
and,
great.
some are hired. Some are from Master Gardeners, Cornell Master
Wow.
Gardeners. Some people come in from the outside. And
Now, when you say hired, are you funded by any organizations, or so that you can? I mean, where do these flowers come from? You can't.
We have a membership fee of
Okay.
$40 a year.
That's
and
reasonable.
It is. It's very reasonable.
Yeah.
And we have a few fundraisers.
Oh, that's good.
And then we use that money to do our good
Wonderful. That's-
works.
Yep.
We have a bunch of club projects even outside of Mahopac.
Yeah, we have our Lake Mahopac Garden Club is part of a state club,
Right.
a federated state, which is part of a national club. And nationally, we have a project called Water for South Sudan, where all the clubs donate, just change
Yeah,
every
that's-
month,
hey,
and it adds
adds
up.
up. Yes, it does.
And that's our World Community Project. And New York State alone in 2015 has donated over $15,000. And these donations increase the quality of life and health of families in South Sudan by drilling wells to provide fresh and safe water. We also do local scholarships at Mahopac High School.
Really?
Every year.
Now, how do you decide? Is it, do these kids do gardens or?
They have to submit an application.
Oh, okay.
It's an application
fair.
project process, and it's a student who is interested in conservation or science or
Yeah.
botany or plans to go on to
Great.
some field like
Think
that.
green.
Yeah, we're a real community organization, not just our little community of Lake Mahopac Garden Club members, but our community in Mahopac at large, and also in the state and the world. We have
Right.
world gardening, and like you said before, I really liked when you mentioned the garden that your son made.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can, have a big plot, you could have a tomato
Yeah,
in a container, you can have a windowsill of herbs. You can just love watching the bees and birds and
I'm
want to
always
promote that.
I recently went to England, and when we were going on the tube, our subway, their tube, I noticed all these huge plots. I said, "What is that?" He said, "Oh, the community gardens."
Community garden,
And these people all have their little plots. It reminds me of on the way going to Home Depot,
Tilly
over on
Foster.
312, is it? Near Tilly Foster, across the street. All these people have their little plots. That's wonderful. And they grow their little vegetables. He said over there in England that these people rely on their gardens and they raise their vegetables.
You can
it's a
get
great
an
thing.
amazing amount of food from a
Yes.
small
I'm
amount
telling
of
you,
space.
I live on the peppers that come out of that garden all summer long. If the deer don't beat me to it.
Or the
They don't seem to
groundhogs.
bother. Yeah, that's right. They don't seem to bother the peppers. They do bother the parsley, and they do bother some of the basil.
Oh.
But we're going to put an electric fence up this time. So do I need a portfolio to join your club? What do I mean, do I just come to you and say, I want to be a member, and I can be?
I recommend that people come to take a look at the website.
Right.
It's got a lot of information.
Oh, website. Website.
Yes.
It's the, what is it again?
It's LakeMahopacGC.com.
Okay, there's some information there on the screen. That's
And it'll give you an email so that you can contact us.
Good.
And it also all the events and our programs and what's happening. And so you're welcome to come to any of the.
That's wonderful. So I can go online to find out what the programs
Exactly.
are and who the speakers are. I'd be interested in that. Do you ever have people who focus on the vegetable or you said herbs? Oh,
Yeah.
I want to know. I'd love to attend one of your meetings on herbs so that I can grow my own. Oh, here we go. Lake Mahopac Garden Club meetings talks about when. Beautiful. Sycamore Park. There's the email address and the website. All you need to know right there.
Yeah, well, we invite everyone to drop in. We're a very casual group. We love
good.
to have drop-ins. We often do
And you
have
serve
drop-ins.
refreshments at your meeting?
We have,
Oh,
we
man,
have
that's a plus.
all homemade, almost all homemade baked goods and
Oh,
luncheon
yeah.
and coffee.
So it's not only
and-
coffee, it's coffee and.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we
I'll
have
be
our
there.
meeting, and we are a diverse group of people with all kinds of interests.
And ages?
all ages.
High school students welcome?
Well, we have, besides a children's garden, we in our flower show that we have once a year.
Oh.
That we just had
Hey,
actually.
tell me about this flower show. What is it? When is it?
Well, we just had it a month ago. We'll have it
Oh,
again
okay.
in fall
Wow,
of
so you had it
17.
early. I mean, this year would have been
Here's a
snow in the garden.
Well, this was a funny year, but
Yeah, it was a funny year.
We have we at the flower show we have a horticulture
Wow.
division, more than one. And then we have flower design. And we also have a children's division where children can, this year they made little fairy gardens. And we had quite a few entries.
Wow.
And that's available. That you don't have to be a member to enter
Oh.
The
horticulture
children's
or children.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Now,
some, even though some ladies love flower design, some ladies don't like
Don't.
flower design,
Yeah.
and they rather do horticulture, or they rather do herbs or potted plants.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do want to emphasize that it's very diverse. That we have an environmental
but that's
section
what
of
makes
our
it
meeting.
work, the fact that it is diverse. That's, how many members do you have?
We have 33.
33 members. That's good. And are they assigned plots, or do they volunteer? Like
It's all
one could say, I want
volunteer.
to do the one that's on Mount Hope Road. Yeah,
It's
you
all
can-
volunteer. You
Yeah,
know,
you do what you like.
Oh,
exactly.
I like it. That's
And
good. It
some
sounds
members
relaxed.
are
Nice club to belong to.
some members, it's difficult for them to do weeding, at a town garden, but they do other things.
Yeah.
They maybe teach a design class or something, and some
Wow.
members do it all.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing is to be yourself, just like in any part of life. When you're in the garden club, you be yourself. You follow your interests. You
So the
follow
key
your
word is club.
creativity.
I mean, it's a club, it's an
Or a
organization,
community,
it's a
yeah.
group, it's a community. I've said 1,000 times on this show. In fact, I used to open by saying a community is not a community without its people. And that it's about people, and it's
Yeah.
about serving. And there's something special. I always say, when we first bought our house, way back in '86, I looked for a fair, because I wanted to see if the community came out together. I looked for the library, and I looked for gardens, because these are all signs of community working as a community, working with the people. Garden clubs mean that somewhere people are gathering for the good of the community. And fairs, families are getting together and visiting with their neighbors. All those things are important. And after we saw those things, and in the library, come on, you go through Mahopac, you can't miss the library. It's the most prominent building in the entire town, and that is huge. It says so much. It also is amazing that that parking lot is never empty. If the library's open, the parking lot's full.
Yeah.
That says a lot. So are you actually tied to the library in any way?
We have our flower show there. They're a great resource for
Oh,
us
boy, are
because
they.
we don't have a piece of property where we rely on the town for a place to have our meetings, a place to have our flower show. So they've been very generous.
But you do kind of have first rights to those little gardens in there. Those
well, we-
two gardens, you're the one that maintain. Nice.
And created.
Yeah.
Yeah, and creative.
Yeah.
One of the things coming up is at the library in early December, we have a really fun activity that's open to the community. We provide everything so you can make your own Christmas wreath or holiday wreath for your door.
Oh.
All the greens there.
So you're active year round.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And that's a
So
a
it's not
fundraiser.
just a spring thing.
No.
Oh no. It's wonderful in the winter to go to a garden club meeting because it's everyone. You see everyone.
Yeah, and
we are talking about
I
spring
love
gardens.
living in Mahopac. However, it's true. In the winter, there's a lot of hibernating that goes on.
Yeah.
It's hard to get around. It gets icy and
Yeah.
and people don't tend to get out as much. So organizations like yours are important. It gives you a chance to get out.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it's East Sycamore Park is a great location
it is a
for a
great
meeting
location.
because there's plenty of parking
Yep.
and it's
They even have a
warm.
winter fest. Now, are you involved in that winter fest that they have?
No, we don't. We don't
And,
work with them on that.
and what about the like the 4-H club? There's things that go on at the park, the Veterans Park. Do you have little booths or representation there at all?
We have worked with Boy Scouts
Oh, great.
who have asked our advice. They have a project to do, and they want to do a gardening
Great,
project.
great.
So we're working with the Boy Scout right now, who is
It's a great resource for them.
remodeling the gardens in front of Sycamore Park Lodge,
Yeah.
the meeting
Because
place.
boys need to know that flowers are for everyone. It's not just gender related. It's not only women who plant flowers or gardens.
Yeah.
And we work closely with a number of our members are also members of Cornell Cooperative Extension
Yes,
and Master
they've been-
Gardeners.
They are such a resource for this area. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to have to get them in on this show here because I know that they do a lot of wonderful things.
They do.
Remember, don't forget to shut off your cell phones.
Yeah. Well, the garden clubs is, of course, flowers and all kinds of plants, like we said, vegetables, herbs, trees, shrubs. This morning when I walked my dog, I was, of course, thinking about coming over here today, and I felt compelled to bring something.
Oh, great. So,
And I thought I would just mention this time of year when everything's blooming and growing and greening like crazy all around us, and the birds are singing and the bees are buzzing.
They
And
sure are.
you know, we're faced with our yards and gardens every day when we walk out the door, and I just brought
our weeds.
and our weeds, and I just wanted to mention weeds and native plants.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we use the word weed and it gives a negative connotation to
Yes.
plants that naturally grow here in New York where we live. And those are the plants that don't need watering, that don't need pruning, that are adapted to our area. And this here is an invasive plant, which I'm sure everyone sees. It's called mustard. It has these little white flowers. It's just come into flower in
now,
the
does
last
it
week
have
or
anything
so.
to do with mustard?
It's actually
I don't know.
it's edible.
Oh, it is edible.
It's
wow.
a garlic mustard. Yeah, you can
Really?
eat it.
But no wildlife eats it.
But no wildlife.
Unfortunately.
Well,
But it's growing everywhere, and if you like it, leave it.
yeah.
If you don't like it, this is a good time to pull it, because it actually would have been better to pull it before it flowered, but if you pull it now before the flowers start dispersing, they'll be making new plants for next year.
Oh, wow.
This little bunch I pulled in literally probably less than a minute. It pulls really easily. You grab it way
Yeah.
down at
I've
soil
been
level.
fighting those. I fight those all the time.
Yeah, and the more you pull, the less you have. And it's
Yeah.
fun. To me,
And you have to pull by the roots, otherwise
yes,
you're in trouble.
you grab
Yeah.
it low where it meets the ground
Right.
and pull up. To me, this is, like you said, therapy.
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing brings me back like gardening. And pulling weeds, believe it or not, is one of my most favorite things. I actually prefer to planting flowers.
It's very zen.
It is. And this, I don't know if you can get a good shot of this or not, but this is one of our worst invasives. This is bittersweet vine. There is a native bittersweet, but this is much more prevalent. This, as you can see by the top, is just waiting to wrap itself
Yes.
around
I
anything
know, I have
and
'em around.
strangle it.
Anything is right.
So this is a much harder, this is actually something you don't want to pull. This is better to just cut. Because if you
really?
pull this, it's almost, unless it's teeny weeny and you can get the whole root. If you pull this, you can't get the whole root. So what you're really doing is creating 5 more plants with all the little pieces of roots that you've left in the ground. So this is better to cut. Although you have to
okay.
keep cutting, it's true. It takes
Yep.
a couple of years. But if you like working in the garden,
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
a certain satisfaction
it's
in
great.
looking and seeing a neat, well-kept garden.
yeah.
And
And
there is.
sometimes people don't like neat gardens. That's
No.
one thing I really wanted
Yeah.
to emphasize today, too, is that, you know, do what you like to do. Be who you are.
Yeah.
If your creativity is loose,
Could always
or
do-
if it's
I mean,
manicured.
I have a huge yard. I do have a huge. I have about a half acre of yard that is manageable. You know, it's. But sometimes I just want to put ground cover over like most of it, so I don't have to mow it every week.
That's a day you probably don't
Yeah.
want to go out and garden.
There's times when, but at the same time, I do love, I go to these garage sales and I pick up these little statues and I put them out around the garden, and there's nothing like getting up in the morning with a cup of coffee and taking a little walk around I have little paths that run
That's
through.
very
I have a couple little
European.
bridges, and it's just a wonderful place to be. And sometimes you just need to be there, especially after you've been deprived of it all winter long. Well, we are moving along. So what would you like to say to our audience? What do we need to tell them? I'll say one thing for you. Join the garden club. They're looking for members.
Please drop in. Please come to our Tuesday meetings, get a feel for it. We have 2 big events coming up. October Tea is our big fundraiser, which again is at Mahopac Library, and it's a formal tea with the speaker, and we serve savories and sandwiches, and it's lovely.
Okay, so the tea, and there, look,
There's a
it is
picture.
lovely. My goodness. Formally set up. When is this?
That's going to be October 21st or
October.
22nd.
22nd. It's a
October
Saturday.
22nd. And then there's another event you mentioned?
Wreath making
The
event?
wreath making is
have
in
every year.
December.
Wreath making in December. So this is not only a spring event.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, what these people do is help to serve the community. You need to pay attention to that and maybe even join. So their meetings are on Tuesdays at Sycamore Park at noon. They serve refreshments. Come join them. This is the contact information, Lake Mahopac Garden Club at gmail.com. Ladies, I can't thank you enough for joining us. It has been a wonderful treat. Thank you for what you do for our community. Thank you for what you've done today.
We hope to see you soon at our meetings.
Absolutely. Thank you. And
Thank
you.
you.
And I'm going to come and learn how to grow my parsley and grow my sage.
Very good.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today.